Hi, everybody. It's Glenn McKnight, and we together, myself, Glenn McKnight, and Alfredo Calderon, will talk to you about the Virtual School of Internet Governance, which we are a member of the DC Coalition. And we've been quite active in contributing content, and Alfredo was phenomenal on his critical comments and constructive comments as well. Let's talk about the achievements in the history of VSIG. So, Alfredo, maybe you can jump in, and if you forgot a few things, I'll jump in as well.
Sure, no problem. Well, just to give everybody an idea, we started with this project last year, sort of late April. I took a course online, and of course, COVID-19 was having the whole world in lockdown, and there wasn't any face-to-face meetings going on in anything. Everybody was just at home. And I had this conversation with Glenn, as a matter of fact, and we started brainstorming about what can we do to replace, or well, not actually replace, but complement the lack of having face-to-face encounters in the internet ecosystem. And I said, well, let's think about having an online course. And of course, Glenn, which is very active in making things happen, he gave me some tasks. Actually, he told me, well, look for a platform, give me some ideas. What can we use? Is it cheap? Is it expensive? Is it free? And I came up with an idea of using the platform we are actually using right now, which is Moodle. And what would be the structure? And we started looking, and that was part of what I did, and Glenn as well. We started looking at what other groups were doing in terms of face-to-face schools of internet governance and online courses with dealing with the concept of internet governance. And we came out with a list of topics or areas based on the basically on the DeepLo Foundation's pillars that we thought we should cover. Of course, we gave it our own twist and made it more customized to what we thought were our needs. And since my background is in instructional design, and I used to be a professor for close to 30 years at the university level, so I gave it my personal twist, of course, with the help of Glenn and other experts in internet governance. And we came up with this idea of the virtual school of internet governance, as you can see up here, with the link to the website of the sort of the evolution of the project has been. Glenn, back to you.
I think I absolutely agree on what you've said, and I'd like to add to that is after if you recall, after we came up with the pillars and after we asked people to give content, we had people like Eduardo Diaz and Bill Joris who came back and gave us reams of feedback, whether links were not working right, or the content wasn't explicit enough, or didn't flow. And so we started this back in May, and we did predict that we had to work hard to create the content, get beta tester to evaluate it, and then launch it in September. But we really had to hustle and it was, I don't know, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, virtually. That's all I remember. It was a blur back last spring and summer, but we did it. We did it, and I think it's has core values in terms of what we tried to do. And one is aggregate the information, and that the students, participants can find in one place an incredible repository of information in our complementary resources. I think that is something unique with compared to other courses I've seen. The discussion threads are again, the idea is to link students together. But I think I think you need to talk about our weekly live chats, and they're called live chats, but our speakers, and currently we have almost finishing group D, but we've had roughly almost 40 people come in as guest lecturers every Monday. Did you want to comment about
Yeah,
that approach?
yeah, sure, sure. And you know, you hit on the nail when you said that our approach is unique because we wanted to have this huge collection of resources, as you all as you know, and everybody else knows. You work on a school of internet governance, you have to pinpoint key topics, key material that you want to share with the participants. In our case, we try to be more holistic. We try to aggregate everything from every community, from every sector, from every actor within the internet governance ecosystem, in order to have some place where people can go and get what they should get or should learn about internet governance. So that's key. The other thing is that we wanted to have interaction. Uh, since we weren't having face-to-face encounters, we wanted to have the opportunity to get experts to come in and to have a sort of a dialogue, a conversation with the participants, keeping in mind that we have cohorts of 100, at least 100 participants in each one. And we just wanted to make sure that we had people come in and talk from their perspective on each one of the modules we had. We just finished an excellent module and discussion in our live sessions with Pari Esfandari on legal aspects. Now, the thing is that each week we invite this guest speaker. He may or may not have a slideshow, but the basic idea is to engage the participants, to have a discussion, to have a conversation. And the good thing is that we record each one of the sessions, and we have different playlists with each one of the groups of guest speakers we invite. And that will actually serve as this historical repository of all the conversations, all the discussions we've had. Like, for example, we've had Vint Cerf under the history of internet governance. And we also had Marilyn Cade as one of the, actually the first, I think, invited guest speaker we had back in September of last year before she passed away. And in the future, we're going to have important other guest speakers like Robert Kahn and other great contributors to the development of the internet and different topics. We've also had the opportunity to have some of our sponsors, because this project started out with a sponsorship from one particular organization. And after that, I mean, we've been doing all these sessions every week since September, actually.
Now, I mentioned quite quickly about a couple of people that were beta testers. We also have an advisory council, and Amrita Chaudhry from New Delhi. We have Pablo Rodriguez, Dr. Pablo Rodriguez from .PR in Puerto Rico, Dr. Olivier Crepin-LeBlanc from actually lives, I believe, in Switzerland, and he's been a former ALAC chair. We've had our people working on our translation teams, Dr. Peter Knight on Portuguese and Russian. We've had Pierre Dare, Jean Dare from ISOC Quebec. He's a team leader on French for our translations. Bill, obviously, and Eduardo are part of those teams. I think did I miss anyone besides you and me? I think that's.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, so once a month we meet together and get critical feedback. And one of the things that we're very, very keen on is and the philosophy is that this course stays free, that there is no cost, and that it's very international. And we are we are committed to the idea of a multilingual set of learning. So huge responsibility that Alfredo put together on a team, and he started that in the new year. And can you talk about the Spanish version of the course?
Sure, sure. Our commitment or our mission is to expand, as Glenn just mentioned, to have this platform in a multilingual format so that we can reach those communities whose primary or native language is in English. So I actually spearheaded a team and we did a Spanish translation. And it'll be, it's actually under review right now by a group of beta testers so that we can launch it in September of this year. Now, the great thing is that the approach we're trying to follow in each one of these versions in Spanish and in the future in French and so forth, is that we're going to customize it so that the people from specific regions can get case studies specific to their region, and we're going to reach out to experts in those regions so that we have sort of a customized, personalized perspective of what's going on, and they can participate. Now, the groups won't be as big as the English one, which is based on 100 participants. We're going to reduce it to 50 participants so we can have more of a smaller, intimate interaction among the participants. So as I mentioned, the Spanish version is finished. It'll be up and running by mid-September of this year. And something that I wanted to mention, that the Virtual School of Internet Governance, which we call VSIC, is evolving. Like, for example, due to the feedback we got from a couple of groups at the beginning, we added a new module on emergent technologies, and that will be a new addition for the next group in September to discuss those issues on emergent technologies as well. And it's also going to be available in Spanish and the other languages as we move forward. Back to you.
So we're looking at September 13th for the Spanish course and September 6th for the next English course, I take it.
Yes. Another aspect that I think it's worthwhile mentioning, that as you hear us discussing how we develop this concept and the evolution we're undergoing, we're spending a lot of time on it. Actually, Glenn and I constantly are reading, reviewing other events that are happening all over the world, and we're identifying resources that we feel could be assets to this initiative. And it's also worth mentioning that the fact that we have this virtual school on internet governance doesn't mean that we're replacing the face-to-face schools of internet governance. This is just a complement. This is just for people that we feel need something, some fundamentals in order to get better involved and feel more comfortable when they go to a face-to-face school of internet governance, or even another virtual school of internet governance in their region. They'll be better prepared to understand the different topics that are going to be covered in those.
I'd like to mention about the demographics about our students. It's interesting is that 39% of the participants are from Africa, 34% are from Asia, and then we have, it drops down quite substantially. Latin America and Caribbean is next. I think it's 13%, and Europe is 9% and 7% from North America. What is interesting is the numbers from Latin America is mainly English-speaking Caribbean islands. So I think we're going to see substantial changes with that as we move towards a Spanish version of this course. And we've seen that we've reached out to a lot of different organizations, and they identify where they're coming from. And there isn't one type of student, is there? Can you give a little bit of profile on the type of people that would take our course?
Sure. It's interesting to see that we've even have had students that, well, we call them students, but they're actually participants with different backgrounds. We have advanced undergraduate students. We have people that are working on their master's or PhD or even postdoc. We've had people that are actually members of MAG, of the Internet Governance Forum, the Global Internet Governance Forum. We've had people that are telcos. We have people from the network sector. We have people that are really into technical aspects like routing. We have people that are actually lawyers are concerned with legal aspects within the internet governance, and even a couple of politicians that are interested in to learn more about internet governance and how they can use that within their countries or their communities to get some policies in place that will meet their needs. So we've had a huge variety of participants. We've even have a couple of teachers and professors from different universities that are teaching computer science or courses related to that, and they just want to learn more about internet governance and what it's all about so that they can implement that within their curriculum. So we've had a huge variety of participants, and we expect to keep that trend. Now, going back to the Spanish course, it's important to understand that as the English course that we've been doing, we have a lot of material there. And I mean a lot. We have complementary resources, but even the readings that they have to do in order to answer some of the questions in the quizzes, because we do have quizzes. This is sort of actually a school where you have to meet some metrics because we want to make sure that you understand the basics. It's not to punish you. Some of the quizzes, you can answer them on the fly, but others you actually have to go through a minimum of content to get the grasp of some of the ideas that we want to make across. So we do have quizzes, and the best thing for some is that you can get a certificate of completion. Once you do the whole course, you do all the quizzes, we have sort of what we call a guidebook for the participants. You check on it. At the end, you'll get your certificate that states that you completed the requirements for the Virtual School of Internet Governance.
So somebody takes the course, and they're not obligated to do the certificate or not. They can audit the course and take it what they want out of it. Not everybody attends the live sessions once a week because it doesn't fit their schedule. Perhaps it's 1400 UTC. It doesn't work for them because they're working or they're relaxing with their family, or it's in the middle of the night. This is a truly international program, and it doesn't fit everybody, but they also can listen to the recordings after. So we've tried to provide the most flexibility as possible. And as we say, sometimes you can please all the people, sometimes you can't. So we try our best to try to come up, and we're very receptive to any critical comments. And we ask people every time, everybody as a speaker, please fill out a short survey, because we want to know if that speaker was inadequate or they didn't meet the expectations. We want the students to give us feedback so that, because, for example, our speaker today, because of such a complex issue, we're going to invite her back again, and we'll probably make it a 90-minute session, but perhaps, contrarian view on legal issues that, it's a back and forth dialogue.
Yeah, and actually talking about the live sessions, we've actually had a pair of guests, invited guests, because we feel that they complement each other. And we've had actually 90-minute sessions. And as you well mentioned, we have all the recordings, we have playlists available, and you can go to virtualsig.org and you can look for Group A, Group B, etc. And you can review all the videos of them. Discussing the different topics. We also have some of their actual slide decks available if you wish to look into those as well. Now, if we go back to the content, and I mentioned that you actually have to do some readings. We have videos, we have ebooks, we have links to other organizations that we feel that complement the topic that we're discussing available. So we try to gather every source of information regarding each one of the topics we covered. We cover it in the 10 modules, which is the structure we have. We have 10 modules. Each module talks on or speaks on one of the issues that we have identified as key. We also try to share events that we feel coincide with that module in that time frame. So you also see that we constantly, as I mentioned, reach out to different organizations and look at events that they're carrying out. And we point everybody to them, to those through the discussion forum, so that they are aware that this is something that is really dynamic. It's not something static. You're not going to learn something and that's it. No, you can keep on learning. Part of the idea that we are pursuing is that we want to engage the participants. We want them to get involved in the future of the internet through internet governance as well.
Now, I've asked other schools on some issues. The word school, for example, in some countries, it's not legal for them to use the word school because it implies a government regulated institution. It has an accreditation. Is that a concern for us, Alfredo, or that's a red herring?
Well, for us, it's not a concern because the word presiding the school is that it's virtual. So right now, we're not accredited by any organization that has a sort of a virtual licensing to accreditation involved. But if we seek that, which is one of our long-term goals, then we would have to meet the requirements to have sort of the virtual school concept clarified by whatever organization we look forward to. So, but right now, we don't have any issue with that.
So basically, VSIG in many ways was a birth child out of necessity because of COVID. And actually, in my personal case, I had the time because we had a very large, called a Victory Garden, a very large community garden. And back in last April, we had a major theft. So all my equipment got stolen. And I had to say to myself, what can I do? where can I put my energy? And I do work with ICANN. I do work with IEEE. I have all these other activities, but they weren't as rewarding as jumping both feet into something like this. And actually, it's like the expression, how do you eat an elephant? Well, it starts with the first bite. And that's what we decided to do. So I think the large part of this is behind us and we're in maintenance mode, whether getting new students for new programs, getting new speakers coming up in the fall in Spanish and English, and expanding our offering. Is there anything in sights for 21 or 22, new courses, new modules, new directions that you want to exchange on?
Well, we have to see what happens. We're looking for volunteers actually that are interested in developing new topics or new modules so that we can add them as part of this course or a separate course with its own, structure and sort of a moderator. Because as you well know, Glenn, you and I are the ones that moderate all the live sessions. We're constantly adding resources, but we need more volunteers to get involved in this sort of activity, which is, as you said, it was time consuming at the beginning, but now we're in the maintenance mode. Although if we move on to French and other languages, it might be work intensive at the beginning until we have everything settled up in place. But yes, new modules, new courses, that's something that we are actively looking into. Now, the other thing is that we need experts. It can't be anybody. So far, Glenn and I have been doing the English one, and I with a team did worked on the Spanish one, but we had to go back and reflect on some of the content and look into what experts are really doing in Spanish, for example, to make it appropriate and pertinent to the regions that we are focusing on. So yes, yeah, we're looking into future courses, but that's long term.
Yeah, it's not going to be tomorrow, but
No, no.
but I think you glossed over it. There's even though the course is in place, there's constantly improvement to going back, editing, correcting, replacing content if the links are broken. And we always ask our students if they come across something that's not working right, give it to us, and we act on it pretty quickly in terms of replacing stuff that's inappropriate or what about this? Like, for example, the emerging technology, that was a suggestion from feedback from our participants, I recall. And so we basically touched on some of that stuff like blockchain and 5G and Internet of things, and we sort of aggregated into a new module and with a quiz and then we basically asked people to give feedback on how to any technical feedback, how it was written, the quizzes, any suggested materials. So we're always open to critical feedback.
Yeah, we actually are, and some participants and some of the feedback we sometimes get is that, why didn't you touch on this topic within, for example, legal aspects, to give you one, or within economics? Well, we're not really the experts, and we need your feedback, feedback of the participants, so that we can, with a reviewing committee, we can see if it's adequate, if it fits what we're looking for, or do we have to create a separate module as we did with emerging technologies, because it seemed feasible and adequate to have a specific module for that emerging technologies topic. And that might happen with other topics that we have spread out through the different modules, but we need the feedback from the participants.
So anyone that's doing a face-to-face school, any of their students, if they want a level set, they should be talking to us. Maybe we can set up a separate section working in hand with a school, so that there are 40 or 50 or whatever students that go through their face-to-face school, and it could be like a 5-day school or a 3-day school. But I think this works well for organizers of face-to-face schools to have everybody with a basic knowledge.
Oh, yes.
And I'm not saying we're not the only ones doing this. ISOC is doing internet governance courses. There's ICANN Learn. There is many of the RARs are doing it. But I think what we've done is, I think we've pooled a mammoth amount of information in under one roof. So and you pointed out too, some people who are lawyers may feel that our legal section didn't go into great enough detail, maybe on the rights to be forgotten or privacy issues. But you have to look at the entire course, because we may have selected that issue on privacy or GDPR or whatever under human rights or under some other category. So before you judge, go through the entire content. And if you say, well, you forgot there was a great paper done and some professor has done it, let us know. We can add it to the collection.
Yeah, and the format that we follow in the course, we have what we call books, and within each one of them books in the modules, we have the content, and we have a table of content, and that will give you an idea of what the topics we're discussing in each module are. So as you said, Glenn, you can glance through all the table of contents, and if you feel that something's missing, you can point it out to us, and we can actually look into it, and probably, we'll agree with your position, and we'll take care of it.
Perfect. Well, I think we've talked about the achievements. We talked about dealing with COVID. We've talked about future plans. Any final comments?
Well, I invite anybody interested in our virtual School of Internet Governance to reach out to us through virtualsig.org, or look up our emails, and we'll work with you if you want, as Glenn mentioned, something special for your community or for your group of students in your organization or university. We can help you out with that as well. And those are my final comments.
Great. Great. Thank you so much. And we look forward to communicating with anybody who watches this video. All the best. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.